All right, my friends, welcome back to Salt City Counseling. Once again, my name's Scott Carter, and I am a licensed therapist. And in this video, I'm going to continue my series on depression. See if we can get this wrapped up soon and kind of move on to other things. But I really do like this topic. I really do like being able to unpack this box. I really do like being able to have a better conversation, a more critical conversation about depression. I kind of want to build on my last video, but also I want to talk about a little bit of the nature nurture debate, or I want to talk about this notion, some of these notions or ideas that depression is because you have a chemical imbalance. Depression runs in families, and so this idea that it's a genetic thing, that there's a genetic component, that's a biochemistry thing. And so I'm going to address that in this video. I'm going to talk about that. It kind of came up for me in the last day or two. Like I do a lot of writing about this online, on like especially on Quora, and some other. I believe that they're a clinician. I believe another practitioner commented in and was like, "Well, I definitely think that we should take into account that there is a chemical imbalance here, or like a family component, or like a genetic component." Got a fly. So if you see me, there's a fly in here. Anyways, and it's interesting to me how many therapists just insist. How many mental health professionals are married to this narrative that there's a genetic component, or that you've got a chemical imbalance. Now, in my last video, I talked specifically and primarily about how I agree with the notion that depression is primarily caused, and it is so pervasive and widespread, largely because our lives, our culture, our way of living is not one where we can find any meaningful connection, where we wake up each day and we find things that are meaningful, give us a purpose, or give us a connection or a meaningful connection to why we even live each day, what it is that even gets us out of bed. And generally speaking, I find and I truly believe our culture, our society is an empty, shallow, vapid mess of we're not supposed to live this way. We're not built to live this way. And so one of my issues is this, right? If we hand young people this this way of living that we're not built for. We're not built to be so disconnected from each other. We're not built to be so disconnected from doing anything that is to doing so many things that have zero meaning. Like you think about it, right? The consumerism, the social media, and the TV, and the video games, and the on and on and on and on. There's no meaning in it. It's all empty. It's all hollow, right? And we give young people this way of living, and they struggle to find any real purpose in it. They struggle to find any real reason to get out of bed. And then what do we tell them? Oh, it's you. You have a chemical imbalance. It's your fault. And I can't get on that anymore. I can't do it. I can't be like, okay, let's give kids smartphones instead of paying attention to them. Let's try it. Let's watch them try and scrape up some sort of acceptance or belonging, or validation from social media. And when they don't get it, let's blame them. Let's tell them that they have a chemical imbalance. I don't buy it, man. I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry. I think that we have very, very good reasons to be depressed. But I don't like feeding this narrative to people that we're going to hand you this crappy life, this crappy way of living, this crappy culture, and then we're going to blame you for being depressed. We're going to tell you that there's something wrong with you. I don't buy it. I just don't buy into it. And kind of going into this idea that depression runs in families. I hear this all the time. Oh, well, depression runs in my family. My family's depressed, right? And so if someone tells me depression runs in my family, what I'm hearing them say is, right, their parents are depressed, their parents are depressed, they have siblings that are depressed, and the like, right? And so the obvious conclusion would seem to be that there is a genetic component, that you inherited it the same way that you might inherit a genetic thing like the color of your hair or something. And here's my argument though. Groups of people, animals even, like apes, they, as groups, adopt each other's behaviors. they can groups of individuals become conditioned into certain behavior patterns. And this is very, very true for human beings. I mean, you look at cults, right? You look at religious cults, or you look at cultural things, or even the way that we speak, right? We just naturally adopt the way that it's said and done around us, right? There's no conscious effort, or there's no conscious process, for example, in what accent you take on, or the way that you talk, right? Or the right, the individual language that you take on. You just simply adopt the behavior of that around you. You simply adopt the way of speaking of those around you and the way of behaving, right? And that's, to me, what, like, if you're going to tell me that depression runs in families, I want to know, why is it that you see it as a genetic thing and something that was passed on, like, genetically, versus just learned behavior? And again, what's interesting is how truly upset people are getting with me. And it's like, I'm trying to make the argument that, like, you actually have the ability to influence this far more than you've been told. I personally think that as a clinician, if I tell people, oh, this is just a chemical imbalance, you have a flaw, you have a defect, it runs in your family, that puts off the idea or the impression that they can't do anything about it, that they're just going to have to live with it. When they can do something about it, they absolutely can. I'm not saying it's easy. And there's a certain percentage of people that when I talk this way, they think I'm blaming them. It's your fault that you're depressed. No, it's not your fault that you're depressed, but it is your responsibility to find a way through it, because nobody's going to do it for you. And yes, I'm sorry, but frankly, if you're always focused on what it is that you can blame, it's not going to get better. It doesn't just go away on its own. I disagree that this is just something that you have to deal with or manage for the rest of your life. I really believe people can get better. I truly believe that. But apparently I'm the bad guy. Apparently I'm some sort of monster because I'm trying to say, hey, look, whatever those factors are that are contributing to depression, they can be overcome. And I believe in you. And I do. I believe in people. I believe in their ability to adapt and overcome. I think people will have far more ability to overcome this than they think that they do. But apparently, it's a horrible and evil thing to tell them. I'm realizing it's a very, very polarized thing, right? It shouldn't surprise me anymore. It shouldn't surprise me. I see behaviors from other clinicians that I just think is horrid. I think is horrid behavior. Like, I can't in good conscience tell people that they're just a victim to this and they're just gonna have to live with it for the rest of their life, right? I'm gonna consign you to hopelessness, and I just don't buy into it. So, anyways, that's sort of my response to that. I wish we would stop blaming the individual when we don't provide them with the means or the show them the way on how to live in a connected and meaningful way. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Share the video. Smash that like button. We'll see you in the next one.